Hi, welcome to Try It, Buy It, Make It, Sell It. And today I'm here to represent Black History Month. First, I want to say that it really brings me joy to see all the Black history videos that the content creators are putting out. And I might have watched one or two, but I'm really going to take the time to try to watch as many as I can because I like what I'm seeing. I'm seeing a lot of unsung African American heroes this year. And the reason why that's so close to my heart is because for the last maybe 3 years, I have put out a challenge on another social media platform to research and find some new unsung heroes. Now, don't get me wrong. I love Martin Luther King, and I love Rosa Parks, and I love Harriet Tubman. But we can't just stop there. We have to move forward and learn about other people that have paved the way for us. So, like I said, it's bringing me joy this year. It's really touching my heart to see that. Now, for me, it wasn't all about the challenge when I put it out. It was just because I want the next generation to walk away with something. And by that, I mean, I want them to see that there are so many levels to this, so many levels to the journey that we've been on. Like, for instance, a lot of the movies that we see are about slavery. And I know that's a very big piece of history here in America, but I want my children to know that before we were slaves, we were human beings. We lived somewhere. We had communities. We had family. We had land. We thrived as a people. I want my children to know that we were just people, as anybody else, just living life at one time. And that slavery was a disruption that we have to now learn from that and pick up the pieces. But I don't want my kids going around just thinking, okay, yeah, we were slaves, and from slavery, we became this and we became that. No, we were this before. We were storytellers. We were healers. We, were spiritual. We were a lot of things. And to me, that is very important for our children to know, because sometimes I feel like, and I might get bashed for this, people do all the time, but I feel like we still have somewhat, a lot of us, not all of us, a slave mentality. And what I mean by that is if we keep telling our kids just that story alone, then that's how they're going to feel. And for me, I want my kids empowered to know, you know what? Yes, we were in our own tribes at one time. We were warriors, different people, healed and here we have what they call, I guess, the doctors, and there we had healers or whatever else it's called, we don't even know what our original spirituality was. We're told this is what it is, this is bad about us, this is bad. We weren't spiritual till we came here. We didn't heal or know how to treat our people before we came here. So I just want my kids to know that, no, we were thriving before we came here. We were disrupted as a people. Now, from there to here, yes, we were slaves. But after slavery, we went on with life. There are a lot of events, and I just want to talk about one today. I want to talk about events because, we've talked about people, and I love that. But I also want you to know the struggle of some of the events that we went through. And I always hear a lot of people say, the slaves died so we could vote. Yes, that is true. But slaves and the freed people died for a lot more than just voting. They died trying to keep our families together. They died trying to get freedom. And I want to correct that because I've heard some very ignorant comments about, when these slaves, and they're here, all of them, and they didn't try to get free, and people like to say, well, I would have did this and I would have did that, but guess what? We were not there, okay? And so it's, untrue that, no, they did. They fought, a lot of them, but you won't hear that in history books. Like you won't hear African American history in the history books, just like you won't hear a lot of different histories that are here in America in history books that are not just African American, because the history of America is deep. And you know what? At the end of the day, we are here, we're American, and that's what we know, but we need to restore roots in our mentality and in our children's mentality, in my opinion. And that is what I teach my children. I mean, I can't say, sorry, what you want to teach your children. But like I said, we were more than just slaves, and these people fought, like I said, to keep their families together. When you have families being ripped apart, and they did everything they could to try to keep their families together. You have people who died here in America trying to keep our communities together and safe. So it really hurts me when I see what's going on in our communities and, we don't come together. And my mom always said charity begins at home and starts abroad. So right now I'm talking about our communities, like the community I come from, and whatever community you live in and whoever you thrive with, okay? But I'm talking about right now our communities and the things that are going on in our communities with our people, and it makes me very sad. And I know a lot of us are thriving, and a lot of us are, doing the best that we can, but I just don't want to forget about the people in our communities that need help. So it's very touching me right now, so my voice is shaking, so please forgive me, but this is a very deep thing to me, and sometimes I get a little deep. I'm sorry. That's just the way I am when I feel things. So I just wanted to give you some insight into how I'm feeling about that right now, and I'm just going to teach you about one event, and some of you probably know already, but again, it hurts me when I hear that people say, and I'm talking about even African Americans, that's what kills me right there, that we were there and we didn't fight, we didn't do anything. Do you know how many slaves tried to jump off that ship, or how many slaves did succeed in jumping off that ship because they were not going to be enslaved. They would rather have died than be enslaved. And even if you're not going to read the books, Amistad, go watch, the beginning of like Amistad or different movies that are out there. And right now I'm just so emotional. I really can't do much thinking, but Birth of a Nation. And I heard someone talking about that the other day who wasn't even a person of color, but how deep that movie was, even when it came to religion, okay? Now, I'm a believer, don't get me wrong, but I do want to know what my religion was when I was when my ancestors, because I'm American, I'm here, but what my ancestors' religion was. I want to know, who our tribes were. And my mom did find out that one of our tribes is the Lemba tribe, which is supposed to be some of the original Hebrews. Now, don't get me wrong, because doing history, I don't know, a lot about the Hebrews, the Israelites, because, everybody's on the color thing, so I don't really know. I like to study and get to know things before I say anything, because I don't believe that it was just maybe one color. I think it had more to do with spiritual, and we've all been separated tribes, all kinds of tribes have been separated from their families, so I don't know. But I think it's time that we study. We study American history as much as we can so that we have insight into where we are going now. We need our focus to be more now. We never close our eyes to the past, but we need to open our eyes to the future. Not for us necessarily, but for this next generation, our kids. And it hurts me to our core. A lot of those kids out there are so lost, and they need roots. They need mentors. They need the village again. They need us to be that village for them again. Okay, so I'm going to go into this as fast as possible because I'm going to get real emotional, and then I'm going to really, go places that I don't know if people are ready for me to take them. So anyway, one of the events that I wanted to talk about was a slave rebellion. And as far as I've read, there were 5 of them. And you can look it up at, and I'm going to leave the links in the description when I'm done. But it's blackpass.org, blackpass.org. They also have a good program on pbs.org, and it's African American Many Rivers to Cross. So I did a little research on both of those sites, and I came up with this. But I knew about the slave rebellion for quite a few years now. There are so many events that happen that are coming to the forefront that are just amazing. After being slaves, they came up out of this. They made a way of life. They didn't make excuses. They stuck together. They worked together. They were a village to the kids. It was amazing. And somewhere along the lines, some of us have gotten real lost. And how do we reconnect that? How do we reconnect as a people and then spread love to those all around us, all people? Okay, so I'm gonna start. Okay, let's see. 1739, an Angolan slave named Jemmy initiated what is called the Stono's Rebellion. Okay. It was carried out September the 9th, 1739. 12 slaves joined Jimmy on the banks of the Stono River to uprise against their slave masters and reclaim their freedom. Armed with guns acquired by taking them from a store called Hutchinson's, they set out to free themselves and to rescue other slaves. Now see right there, they didn't just think about themselves. They went back to rescue the other slaves. That's deep. They managed to execute many of the owners. They made their way through the town, liberating themselves by executing occupants of their residence occupants of residence and joining other slaves for the resistance movement. After about a week of the uprising, the colonists killed the majority of the freedom seekers. However, because of this act of rebellion, many different laws were instituted to keep them docile, and so it would never happen again. At this time, also, a school was started to introduce Christian doctrine. However, after the taste of freedom was the beginning of many more rebellions to come. So that's my little insight into how we did fight, how we went back for other people, and how we continued to fight even though the slave masters tried to make it so hard by instituting different laws and even trying to teach us a Christian doctrine and change the words of the Bible around to benefit them. So forgive me, like I said, because this is very emotional to me. And I am asking you, if you would, to please research some unsung heroes. Please research our history before slavery in Africa. I'm asking you, please try to help as much as you can, because I know everybody's working, taking care of families, in everyday life. But please mentor some lost kid who may not have a father or a mother and need these roots planted so that they can have a better future the way the slaves and the freedom seekers fought so we could have a better future. And like I said, I'm going to leave the links in the description. And I thank you for watching. And I pray that you have many blessings on you. And I pray that our people reconnect and just come together, and that we become that village again and teach our kids to love one another, relearn how to communicate effectively with one another. And I just pray for us all to be headed in the right direction. And thank you.